This week on the show, Olympics are the most watched television event ever. Just don't tell the tweeters. Tim people watches at the Expendables premiere. And Goldie says, skip the movie, watch the trailer when it comes to Will Ferrell's new movie, The Campaign. All this and more on Behind the Video, episode number 16. This episode of Behind the Video is brought to you by the Independent Media Network. The Independent Media Network helps journalists and content creators create their own jobs by building sustainable online businesses. If you're an unemployed or underemployed journalist or content creator, visit imnct.com for more information. Hey everybody, we are back with episode number 16 of Behind the Video, and we've got the usual suspects here who are up to good, not no good. They're up to good, and that's Tim Street and Goldie Chan. Hey Tim, how you doing?
Doing well, Lon. Are you staying out of trouble? Is the weather fine there? Are you buying any electronics you shouldn't be buying?
Well, looking out my window, it looks pretty nice. One day, hopefully soon, I'll get out there and see it for myself. But I'm trying to think if I don't think I've bought any electronics this week, but it's still only.
Come on, man! You have to help the economy.
I know. I need to go out and buy more stuff. I'm still paying for the stuff that I bought about a month ago. So,
are you looking out for the new iPhone, Lon?
No comment. It's funny when these new iDevices come out. I always say I'm never going to buy it, and then I end up ordering it on launch day. But I did hold out. I never bought an iPad 2, so that helps. But now I've got cttechjunkie.com that I write for, so I often feel like there's a professional obligation to purchase these things and review them for the masses. So, but we've got some cool video stuff to talk about, and unfortunately, Christopher from the IAW TV Awards had some audio problems, so he couldn't tell us what they're up to in person. But I know Goldie, you're pretty excited about this awards thing. So, can you talk a little bit about it, and then we'll have Tim also fill us in on why these awards are important and why people should apply.
Sure, and Tim is actually a board member, so he can maybe fill you in a little bit better. But right now, I'm actually submitting one of my web series. It's a drama, and we're submitting to IWTV, so we're very excited. And the award show happens every year, and it's primarily for web series. So you can submit across several different categories, and submissions are open now. So if you have something that is, I think, live before September, I want to say 11th, then you can go ahead and submit. So everybody keep an eye out for, of course, my web series, which we're launching the trailer for, and it's called Cost of Capital, and it's about the kind of intrigue behind the world of investment bankers. So it's very fun.
Timely, too, that's for sure.
Yes.
So,
yeah, if you go to iawtv.org, you can become a member of the International Academy of Web Television, and we'd love to have you submit your web series. There's a number of different categories there. A few new ones have been added this year, and I don't want to steal Christopher's thunder, so we're gonna get his audio problem fixed, and then he can go into a little bit more detail about the award selection and how the whole process works. But it is going to take place at CES in January in Las Vegas. So I think it's January 8th in Las Vegas at the Venetian Hotel. There's a theater there that we did the awards in last year. It's a lot of fun. It's a great show, and it's really fun to be around other web series creators. So that's part of the fun of it. And if you can't make it to Vegas during CES, it will be streamed live, so you can check it out there. And we're trying to make that more of an interactive experience as well. So we'll see how that works out. The funny thing is about it's easy to do these Google Hangouts where you just have a couple people, but when you start live streaming and millions of people show up, even hundreds of thousands of people show up, things get broken. And
very
so
quickly.
there's my day job at M-Dialogue, I see that there's a huge difference between doing a Ustream and doing a live sports event or a live Hollywood award show. And it makes a big difference, the amount of infrastructure and troubleshooting team that you have to have in place for those events. But the award show is taking place in Vegas. We'd love to have you enter.
That's terrific. So take a look at that website, and we will, of course, talk more about this next week. We still have about a month or so to go for submissions, Tim. Is that right?
Yeah, we're still good. You got a little bit of time. Oh, actually, I think you'll have a longer time to submit. You just need to, your series needs to have been launched with, I think, and I could be wrong here, but 2 episodes. One, like 2 or more episodes have to be up online before the deadline.
So if you haven't started your series, or you're one of those people that are hemming and hawing, now's the time to get off your butt.
Just get 2 of them done and then enter.
Get 2 of them done and enter. And I think you can actually submit anything that's been live since November, I want to say, of 2011. So if you have something older that you want to submit as well, you can feel free to submit too.
So go back through your back catalog and see what you got, and get those series in there. And Tim, I would imagine the quality of work you've seen being involved with this organization, or the quality of submissions, is probably been improving over the years, right?
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, last year, one of the big winners was a show called Receiver. And if you like sci-fi, if you were ever into X-Files, check out Receiver. It's one of the award winners last year. Amazing quality, shot on the Red camera. It looked like an episode of X-Files. I mean, just a really fun, alien-type series.
Excellent. Well, we love aliens, so I'll check that one out. There's so much good stuff out there that I need to spend the weekend just being a couch potato and watching it all. So see if we can do that. So while those awards are going on, though, broadcast television still exists and is still making money, and we have our top 5 for the week on broadcast. And let's just take a guess. What could possibly dominate viewership for a week last week?
Not only dominate, but become the most watched show in American history.
Wow. So
which
really
is intense. Yeah.
So and by the way, that's the Summer Olympic closing ceremonies, which were not even live, right? It was I was watching volleyball while people were tweeting about the closing ceremonies. So Tim, that's the most watched ever?
I think I saw that today in a news feed that was the most watched television show in history, which is unreal because of the fragmentation that's going on. But I got to tell you, on the flip side of it, I saw a dip in sales on my ebook during the Olympics, and then once they were over, sales went up again. So,
wow, so they left their televisions and went back to
Well, they left all the other stuff they were doing and went to television during the Olympics.
Wow. Well, it was quite something to watch, and I think too, as the world gets smaller, so to speak, it becomes, this is more of a certainly a competition, a competitive sports thing, but it's also a celebration of the world, and I think people are a lot more connected to the world through these tools than they've ever been. We couldn't even do this 3 years ago, and now we are. So it's pretty remarkable. So interesting though, on cable, that the Olympics really didn't make a blip, but World Wrestling did.
Well, there's connections there. People are connecting in that wrestling kind of environment, and that's almost as good as NASCAR, which I think came in at number 4, and True Blood at number 3. There was a little bit more wrestling, WWE at number 2, but a scripted series, The Closer, from TNT, came in at number 1, which was really surprising to me. I guess there's just some people out there that don't care about sports, and they want a good story.
And it's interesting that we keep seeing The Closer show up again and again, I think, in each of these top 5. So I guess it's doing well.
There's a real appetite for scripted content still, and as everything goes into reruns, or you have reality overload on the networks, the cables networks are doing quite well, and these shows really aren't all that high budget, right, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, they're just a percentage of what they would have been on a network television show when they go to cable, and a lot of people make compromises in what they would have been paid from a network to be able to have some artistic control over what they're doing. And at FX, they really led the charge in that with a couple of shows that they did, and so it's been interesting to see how that trade-off has worked. But you look at any situation, and it's either you're doing it for the money, or you're doing it for the art, or a combination in between. And cable is really creating some interesting dramas, especially when you go to HBO and Showtime. They have a lot more latitude there, but FX and TNT are trying hard to have that other freedom, creative freedom there, at least as much as they can. They still are a network.
Right, exactly, and I think we talked a little bit about this last week too with the pay TV and pay TV meaning paying for cable television, which now gives you access to Netflix and Hulu like streaming. That there is quite an appetite not only through traditional broadcast through cable, but also through some of these internet streaming applications as well, which has been pretty interesting to watch, to the point where I'm actually considering maybe flip-flopping my home budget away from Netflix and possibly adding back my Xfinity streaming capability, because I do kind of like the idea of being able to watch a lot of these cable shows on demand through my iPad and stream it up to through AirPlay or something, and still get it on my television. So because I refuse to pay for that stupid box. So we'll see. I'm always tweaking my cord cutting here. So, but I'm not quite there yet. So, but let's take a look at the box office though, and we had some movies move around a little bit. Number 5 is Diary of a Wimpy Kid: The Dog Days. Brought in $8 million for a $30 million total haul so far. Hope Springs at $14 million for a $19 million total haul. The Dark Knight was taken off its height, and this might disappoint Goldie a little bit because you were really rooting for the Dark Knight to stay on for eternity, but it looks like
of course
the Bourne Legacy and the Campaign have knocked it off. The Campaign,
and I finally saw the Campaign yesterday.
And how was it?
What do you think?
You know what, I love Will Ferrell, and I really dig Zach Galifianakis, but I was just underwhelmed by the story, and they were trying very hard.
Much better trailer than the movie.
Much better trailer than the movie. Still worth a look because we're right in the political season right now. But I was so sad that I felt like they just weren't given enough good material to work with. And Tim, you probably know more about the inner workings of this than I do, of course, but this seems like it was just a movie that they made really just to tie into a very topical thing and put in 2 stars, and then there you go.
I have a feeling it was something that was fast-tracked and just didn't have enough time, got messed up in the oven.
Oh, so get that. So is this a rental, or is this not even a rental?
It might be a rental. There's some sort of awkward CGI baby punching going on in it. So
yeah, we're not. I don't know about the whole. That Apple went through that whole baby shaker thing, and this violence against infants is just not going to work for me. But we'll see. But there is some stuff opening this week. The Expendables 2 is coming back.
Actually. I was at the premiere last night of The Expendables. I saw Jean-Claude Van Damme, and I saw, let's see, who else did I see? I saw Arnold.
Wow. How they all
the
looking?
Governator.
Yeah, they look a little scary.
Scary in that they're defying age, or scary that that looks like they've been reconstructed?
Oh, aren't those one and the same? Artificially defying age, I think, was the scary part. There was a big crowd out on Hollywood Boulevard. The street was blocked off, and it was quite interesting that they went out. Normally at a red carpet event, folks will get out of the limo and they'll just walk down the red carpet and walk right in. But since the street was closed off, Jean-Claude Van Damme was the first one that I saw do it. He got out of the SUV, walked around, and went down the line shaking hands, saying hi to people, and there were huge crowds there. And security was with him, but nonetheless, I was just shocked, because normally it's like a mad dash to the red carpet, and in this case, they were out there, and Arnold walked around, did the same thing, which was really cool for the fans. And then afterwards, they had a big after party at the W Hotel up on the top floor of the hotel. Dre's is this nightclub, and if you ever get a chance to go, this is Hollywood. It's like a Vegas nightclub on top of a Hollywood rooftop with a pool. and
Wow.
just an incredible view of the city. It's just an amazing place to have a party. It's an amazing place to go. And if you ever come to Hollywood, do whatever you can to just go there and see how swanky it is. It's goofy fun. I mean, you know, it's not a place you're going to go for a quiet, nice, romantic evening, but it's still visually
Well, they do have
stimulating.
cabanas, though, there, Tim, on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
outside area. So,
yeah. They have the little cabanas surrounding the pool, and you can rent those, you know, or at a private event they may be reserved for the sponsoring company. It depends on what the situation is there, but um, the whole table service thing is kind of crazy to me. But at the same time, it's just a breathtaking view, and definitely if you're a tourist, it's one of the places you want to go see.
That's another thing we don't have here in Connecticut, but I would imagine the people watching is as stimulating as the environs that you're in. So especially the night of the Expendables 2 premiere, with you know, every successful '80s action star in one place. So that's
Well,
got to be
what I
something to see.
did was I'd parked down at the Chinese Theater where the premiere was, and I was speaking at the PGA had a panel at a film festival going on there, Holly Shorts, and then we had another event at the W. So instead of moving my car, I was like, you know, the streets are blocked off. This is crazy. I just took the subway. You never think of taking the subway in LA, but
Yeah,
it's
I know
one
they have one.
stop down, and I took the subway from the Chinese Theater down to the W, and worked out great. Except you do get to do some people watching in the subways of Hollywood.
So you go from one extreme
Whether
to the
you
other,
want
right?
to, whether
Yeah,
you want to or
or
not.
not.
You
Yeah.
get
I
to do
think
some
waving
people.
around that money clip, Tim, you should
Yeah,
probably stop doing that when you're on the
yeah,
subway.
yeah. It's funny. I get a lot of dirty looks on the subway in Hollywood. People
No
are like,
kidding.
What are you doing here?" It's
I've
kind of
loved
weird.
riding the New York subway because it's quite a sight to see, and it's always entertaining no matter
I
what.
think I think the Los Angeles Underground subways is a wee bit different than the New York subway system, which I think
Yeah,
is a little more commonly used.
yeah, yeah. New York's, you know, pretty commuter. The only people that use the LA, well, I can't say the only people. There's a lot of good, upstanding citizens and a lot of great tourists from Germany that use the subway. I mean, they might have a little bit of a, you know, odor issue in that they've been out all day with no deodorant on. Uh, but other than that, there do seem to be a lot of homeless folks that ride it for the air conditioning, I guess.
Wow. Well, I will make a note not to ride the LA subway when I'm in town next. But speaking of money clips, though, Warner Brothers, the big movie studio, is shutting down their direct-to-video label, and I guess the Wrap is reporting about this, and maybe some speculation that this is going to go somewhere else. All this money that they invested in this thing, possibly to web series. Tim, right? You were the one that found this story.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, home video was what really drove the business for the studios. I mean, they would put a movie out just knowing that it would make things up at one point in VHS and then in DVD. And now as that is drifting off, they're re-examining and you know, kind of combining the home video departments into electronic sell-through or electronic rental. The whole business model is changing. Now the distribution costs are going down because they don't have to print, you know, or they don't have to make all these tapes and boxes and shipping. So that will change, and that'll help margins eventually once people start buying. But it's really going to take a change in behavior, and I think as the television sets enable the on-screen purchasing and renting of content, and you just turn on your TV and that's available. You don't have to buy a separate box and log in and blah 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 blah. Once that starts to happen, I think we'll see a big uptake, but that's going to take 5 to 10 years.
And do you see that, you know, we're starting with this subscription model for TV that seems to be what's sticking because this all-you-can-eat buffet kind of approach to things, and YouTube in particular, where everything is free. Do you think there's going to be a difficulty in getting people to pay for stuff that they think they should stream for free?
Absolutely. I mean, we've definitely put, you know, by giving things away, we've done a great job of building audiences online, but you know, you got to be really smart on how to monetize that audience if they're not paying you any money. fortunately, people do buy books, and they've been buying ebooks, and so it seems like the ebook or the publishing industry as a whole is suffering because they're not making as much money as they were with the printed book, but yet it does feel that there is a model here, and it will work itself out, and it may work itself out before the film model does.
Interesting.
It's so funny. I find it so amusing that the virtual book model will work itself out before serving up, small slices of video content, which you would think is a much more natural fit. And so I find it really amusing that we're going to see what's going to happen. And I agree with Tim. Over the next 5 to 10 years, we're really going to see technology develop, and hopefully we'll see what audiences and paying customers do.
Yeah.
And that's what's also intriguing, especially look at ebooks. People have been buying books forever. There's sort of the local library, which had very limited availability. You couldn't just go get a book for free up until now. After in all of human civilization, it was very hard to get books for free, given all the overhead involved with it, and it's and the difficulty up until now of reading a book comfortably electronically. So we'll have to see where that comes out from. And interestingly, on YouTube this week, a lot of stuff that isn't usually by the usual suspects made the top 5, including a fun one from this guy Steve Cardinale. I don't know if he's a regular YouTuber or not, but he did yet another lip sync or appreciation of "Call Me Maybe." There's like 3 songs that you just can't, and people just beat to death, and this is one of them. But what he did is something similar to what that guy was doing with the piano with chat roulette. And he was dressed in this gentleman was dressed as a woman. And wouldn't turn around up until the point where he had somebody on a chat roulette call, and then would start singing the song with mustache and everything else. But it was hysterical, and 12 million views already.
Did you see the Call Me Maybe that the Olympic swim team did?
I did see that one. Yep,
that's fun.
And that one did pretty well too. And it's funny is that back when the RIAA was suing the pants off, and they still are to some degree, suing the pants off of everybody, including Google and YouTube, this kind of thing would never have been allowed. And now, their song is getting a lot more play, and they're getting a share of the revenue too. So this is kind of a win-win for everybody, despite the fact that we're probably sick of hearing the song. So, if I was better at this, I would.
It's running through my head right now, and I haven't even heard it.
I know.
It's crazy.
I bet you we could all sing it, but we just won't admit it.
Yeah. Well, it's one of these things where when I leave here and get in my car, I'm going to have to play the song to get it out of my head.
Oh, of course.
So that was one that...
Lon, did you throw a wish in the well?
No. Another one that did pretty well was the Dragon Ball Z trailer. I guess there's a new one coming out. And
there's a new one coming out.
And interestingly, none of this is in English, but it got several million views. Did you check that one out, Goldie?
Yeah, I took a quick peek at it because I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon, and I just wanted to see what the new trailer looked like. And it's really just one camera going through a bunch of cliffs. And then at the end, the main character shows up, and he's animated. I was terrified that this would be yet another live-action version of an anime series, which honestly the last million of them have been terrible. So this one was a relief that it's still animated, so still good. I think everyone's just really excited. There's a whole generation of people who grew up watching Dragon Ball Z, and I think that they'll be really excited to see what happens with this new version of it.
It's pretty exciting. This is going to be a movie or a new television series?
I think this one is actually going to be a movie. So I guess we'll see if it's good or not.
Interesting. Well, it's good that they're doing that, because I grew up with like Robotech and that kind of stuff, and they never, they made a couple of attempts at remaking it, but or re-whatevering it, and it just didn't kind of pan out. So it's kind of neat that they're cashing in and also finding what worked before, and clearly a couple million people on YouTube are pretty excited about that. So, yeah. Tim, you see anything on YouTube this week that struck your fancy?
You know, YouTube was not jumping out at me this week. I was spending more time talking about award shows and what we're going to do in Vegas than actually watching the videos.
Wow, so working actually got in the way here. Well, here's something that you're going to find interesting, given talking about work. There's a great article in Wired's Gadget Lab, which I hope everyone who's watching or listening goes and finds, because it talks a lot about YouTube's new strategy moving forward, which is getting, not getting away from what they're doing, but changing the focus of where they want to direct viewers to, and that is to channels versus individual videos. And it's not that they're already successful, and they are clearly light years beyond their competitors in the amount of time on site, but they want to get even more time on site. And they're now rolling out a new app for the PS3, which I guess came out earlier this week. The Wired article says it's the first salvo in a new war for your living room. And what they're going to do is build, so they have all these channels that they put all this money into. And they're also going to have channels that are going to be created algorithmically. And I'm starting to see this now, like on different topics. So if you're into cats, you can watch an endless stream of cat videos that that YouTube's computers have found to be interesting. And this is kind of good for small creators, independent creators especially. So while you may not benefit from the $100 million that YouTube put out for production, your stuff, if it's halfway decent, might get sucked into one of these genre channels and get a lot more play just through people sticking around and clicking on what's next. So I'm kind of excited about that. Tim, have you been following the YouTube developments?
Yeah, it's interesting. The flip side of the coin is that there are a lot of YouTube partners, people who have been making their money from YouTube and actually living off that money that have been affected by these algorithm changes. Because the front page of YouTube used to show what was trending all across YouTube, and now they've changed it so that it's more you have to log in, and when you log in, it shows you stuff that you're interested in that you've already seen, so that discovery element is missing. And a lot of the YouTubers are suffering from this. They're having to figure out how they're going to subsidize their income. So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to somehow figure out how to create content that somehow gets recognized by the new algorithms so that they can continue to keep being creators on YouTube.
And Goldie, what are you planning to do now? Because you're launching a new series. So what's your strategy here?
I think it's really interesting because I'm launching a series that actually I would normally not necessarily launch on YouTube because it's actually quite a long format. Every episode is over 12 minutes long.
Wow, that's well beyond what they're looking for, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But we already have a captive audience that we've kind of been, teasing this series to. So I thankfully don't actually have to deal with this. But if I had a series of 2-minute cat videos, I would be all over this, and I would be really excited about having content that is easier to discover. I just think, nothing lasts forever, as we know, and digital just moves so quickly that if you aren't flexible and if you aren't able to change because an algorithm on a site changes, as Tim said, I think this is what happened with musicians when MySpace kind of went down the tubes, so to speak. They had to find new ways to get their music out there digitally. So. Right.
So they're making some changes which may not work in their favor, perhaps. Yep. So it's something to keep an eye on as this develops. But we'll see where it goes. I've actually seen in just some of my stuff an uptick. Now, granted, an uptick for me is like maybe a couple hundred more people a week. So, but nonetheless, my traffic and revenue has been going pretty steady, and the revenue pays for a latte every couple of months. So it's a good
wow,
deal.
You go to some expensive latte places.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah. It's the Starbucks that's a half hour away, right? So,
you do have all that gas.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I do drive electric, so I've got that base covered, but it's still nonetheless a commute to get my latte, and I have to learn how to make my own. So this is another thing that Jason Perrier, our producer, found interesting. Clever TV joins the billion views club on YouTube, and I guess that's pretty big accomplishment. TubeFilter reported on that, and it's giving now as a place with some other channels like Smosh and Barely Political, Rooster Teeth, and Hulu even on YouTube is over 1 billion views. So, Tim, what's Clever TV all about?
You know, I'm not a Clever TV watcher. It's really not my thing. Goldie?
It's not really my thing either. I'm more of a, to be honest, a Michelle fan. So to me it feels a little bit younger than as I'm pulling up Clever TV.
Yeah.
And I'm listening to it. But it's a little bit younger and a little bit more blonde.
It almost feels to me like Saved by the Bell meets Entertainment Tonight.
Yes.
So it's a youth-driven entertainment network, essentially, is what
I would say. It's not necessarily youth. No. Yes. Mm-hmm. I would completely agree with that.
Well, the TubeFilter article says that they get 622,000 views per day, 25,000 views per hour, 432 per minute, and 7.2 per second. And they have about 8,400 videos, which average about 119,000 views apiece. So I guess there's as people are watching, it actually speaks to just how how compartmentalized the audiences are here. That we're roughly around the same age of interest perhaps, and our interests don't intersect with what Clever's doing at all yet. They're hitting the 1 billion views club there. So certainly is going to make things interesting for advertisers too, and how to target certain audiences, because we are not watching this at all, but a lot of people
are. Are you listening to One Direction?
Huh?
Exactly.
One Direction. I think teen content though is so interesting to focus on. As one of my clients is actually a really popular teen site, and I think always trying to hit that teen target, which is always moving because the kids move so quickly, it's an interesting thing to focus on.
And what's funny, when we hit people as old as Tim and I, we don't move at all.
But Tim knows about One Direction and you don't, Lon.
That's true. That's true. So maybe he's a little bit more hip than I am, but we'll have to see what goes on there. So just a little bit of other news here to talk about. BBC's multi-platform games reveals a new appetite for live video and mobile browsing. So paidcontent.org reports on this, and they say that while NBC is still taking a social media pummeling for quote-unquote failing its record-breaking Olympic audience, the Olympics undertaking has been lauded in England, and they've had some new online records as well. So obviously a lot of interest in the Olympics in England because that's where it was hosted in Great Britain. But they had 9.5 daily global uniques to the BBC Sport website, which in the past may have only been British viewers, but now these are inbound views that can come from all over the world. Their video requests doubled. So all those views going away from Tim's book went there. A third of the web visits came from mobile devices too. So it lines up a lot with some of the things that NBC discovered there as well. So I think it takes a big event like this to learn some lessons. And Tim, you're trying to stream an award show that'll go potentially out to millions, but a billion-wide audience potentially has got to be a lot more challenging, right?
Yeah, that'll shut the internet down.
it'll destroy it all.
There were serious concerns during the royal wedding that would shut the internet down, that streaming that online would do it. So, there have been those events where they feel the world is going to tune in.
Right, to one place.
Yeah.
And
yeah. So, well, do we have any time to let some people in?
We do, and if you're watching, there's a couple people watching right now. If you want to join our discussion, there's a lower third link right here, bit.ly behind video 16. If you click on that, you can be inserted directly into our chat. So when you do join, you'll be muted initially, and when we unmute you, you can you can talk to us. And we just actually lost a couple people when I talked about that. So.
Like, we're done.
So, but we do want to do this a lot more. I know a lot of people.
We should mention it at the top of the show.
I think that's probably a good idea. We should probably mention that you can.
And actually,
call in
Lon's
and
been doing with this one. We did a little bit of a lead-in time, so you can join earlier than 8:30. I guess it's 11:30 in the more reasonable.
Right. We'll have to put up a global thing here, but we do record the show live. We're really trying to bring in more of the audience because, we can talk about stuff all day long, but we really want to hear some of the things that you're working on. And we've had some really great guests just come in out of the blue who've had some really unique experiences. I think of Jersey with the comic books, and Brian from Connecticut here who's building his own radio network. So if you have something you want to pitch or talk about or whatever, look for the lower third. You'll see when we record the show live. Follow me on Google+, Lon Seidman, LonSeidman, as well as Tim Street and Goldie, because when the show is on, you'll see this hangout appear in your stream as well. So we really want to continue building and outreaching to our audience because our audience is growing. We're getting more and more views every week, so we really want to hear what you have to say as well. So, Tim, where can people find you on the internets?
I'm feeling very Twitter today, so you can follow me on Twitter at @OneTimStreet.
And Goldie, where can folks find you in your new show?
People can find me personally at Goldie Chan, and they can actually find my new show. It will be housed at Cost of Capital TV across pretty much almost any platform you could think of, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, where it will live, and also costofcapitaltv.com, where you can sign up for exclusive access to some nifty things.
Oh, cool. I want exclusive access. And did you give out the money that these hedge fund people are stealing in your show?
We do not give out money during the show, but we actually will have some pretty exciting pieces of swag.
They've already given out the money and making the show.
Right.
Exactly.
So you got to make it back, hopefully. So, well, that's great. We're really excited about the show at Goldie, and we will certainly. I'll watch at least 5 times. So
great.
We'll boost that view count for you, and I'll add it to my couch potato playlist, and you all should at home as well. So that'll do it for this episode of Behind the Video. But again, don't forget, every Thursday morning at 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific, and if you're in somewhere other part of the world, just run one of those time calculators because I got no idea when we're on there. But we will be there. You can be here with us and talk about your latest projects because we'd love to learn more about what you're learning. And that'll do it for this week. The show is a wrap. Stories for this episode were compiled by producer Jason Perrier. Follow him on Twitter at JASONPERRIER. Behind the Video is a production of Ape Digital Incorporated and the Independent Media Network, LLC. All rights reserved.